these last moments of our talk here on a matter that becomes a little touchy. Oh, it becomes a little touchy. I'm going to do this quiet, silent prayer. You and I know that international capital, foreign investors have played a significant role in the economic development of the Bahamas. They are a big part of the business community in the country. As resident business people, local business people, Bahamians, do you see us having more or less tension in whether or not we still require this international capital to push our business community forward?
I think we still will need in some form going forward. The only thing I would add is that I think we need to match that foreign capital directly to the entrepreneurs instead of just not always having these government-controlled deals where the microeconomic impact is questionable and very small. You see, because then you add this other layer in there.
Now, I help me understand that there is government-controlled deals, meaning, well, like, how does that look? What does that look like?
Like, say, the IDB gives some money to, I'm not sure how the structure is, but say to the government, and then the government has to put in place a system like the small business, what's it called again, the development.
Yeah, the small business center, I think it is.
Center at
yeah.
UB, but there again, now you have
Government
involved
in that, and so that influences where the capital might go.
And the politics and all this. I'm saying we need to, I see us still needing foreign capital, but it would be very good if it could be matched directly.
Now, I'm talking about the private foreign capital in particular, but that's one level of it.
Right, I take you're talking about these anchor projects.
Or any investment project.
But any investment project. But an investment project that's seated outside the jurisdiction
That's right.
of the Bahamas.
That's right, yeah.
Absolutely, we need that to continue to help develop our economy and our country so that we can be a first world country. But parallel to that, right, we have to start developing entrepreneurs. We have to start incentivizing these students so that when they leave UB, they're thinking about opening their own business, not simply going to work for someone.
And what kinds of policies do that? What kinds of policies incentivize these students and others who are not in university to get into business, to go and seek to be in business? What kind of policies do that?
Well, putting in place the facilities that would allow, right, seed capital to be directed to them.
The government putting it in place?
The government putting the policies in place, right? Facilitating. I said, not giving them the money, right? Because that's not a wise use of.
So let me see if I could give an example. So let's suppose if a business invested in a local business, they might be able to get some discount on their tax payments. They can get tax credit or something.
Some tax credit. I mean, that's how the United States and these other territories have developed, right? Okay. In order to induce and entice persons to either make charitable donations, right, or even do these things like seed capital for young entrepreneurs, right? I mean, let's be real, right? You have some very magnanimous people who do it out of the goodness of their heart. But most people want something back when they give their funds. And the way the government can facilitate it is not so much by handing out the money, but by encouraging people like the Juan, Bacardi, and Darnell, Osbournes, right, of this world, right, to see this capital, right, but give them some benefit on the back end.
Sometimes access to professional talent, you need maybe you need an economist for your forecasting for a business plan, you need an accountant, you need a marketing firm, and so forth. Sometimes that's just outside the reach of a budding entrepreneur. And maybe sometimes if the government can, again, give incentives to those people to get some tax credits if they were providing that service, or help with the bulk buying through one of its agencies, these become a part of what can be done.
Yeah, be facilitated.
Yeah, you have a question? Go
Well,
ahead.
I personally believe that the mindset of students or persons in general can be manifested from the education standpoint by offering the employment law classes. That will empower them to know more about what you're doing now on the cost of, on operating standpoint.
So
They'll
you-
be more empowered to be an entrepreneur and be advised about stuff because they're doing the law classes to be informed.
Okay.
They're doing the accounting classes to know what to include in your business plan.
Okay.
They are aware of the marketing techniques that you need to open a business.
Okay.
And then that will encourage them to capitalize or how to, you know, just to go after funds for their business.
So from your point of view, we have to be more dedicated to teaching entrepreneurship.
Yes,
and the
instead
things
of
that-
servitude, yes.
Okay, so entrepreneurship has to be a part of the education structure.
Yes, but the willingness of the person as well. Because
Okay.
I went to public and private school. And
Okay.
I'm willing to do better. So I
Okay.
come here and I still want to be an entrepreneur, but I still want to learn as much as I can from the private sector as well as here in the schools. That's why I come to these conferences to be advised. Okay, but if we're told from in high school that these classes are offered, employment law classes I wasn't offered until I came here. It is free online, but are we aware of that? Are we even interested in that?
All right.
So just like civics and technical cadets, mechanics, do some structural organization in the school system where we can empower ourselves, and then your employment pool will change because I'm studying human resources and I'm currently working in human resources and learning the pool out there is scarce.
Okay, that's powerful because she's saying two things. She's saying one, there is organized opportunities to learn entrepreneurship in the various aspects of it, such as what we might be doing right now today. But in addition to that, as a person, you have to take responsibility yourself for wanting to get it done, wanting to learn this stuff and whatever. Excellent, excellent. Anything else in the nature of foreign investment? Because if you look at a franchise is essentially a partnership between a local entrepreneur and an international entrepreneur. Is partnership with international players one of the ways we might accelerate our development and growth in business in this country?
It is, but you know, it runs the risk of being seriously abused.
Really?
Yeah, and that is the problem.
Okay.
Right, it runs the risk of being seriously abused because you will have people directing investors to particular individuals.
Oh yes, no, but I'm thinking, that the government shouldn't be the one to say you should go to this business. But I'm thinking if you're a Bahamian interested in business, if you're a Bahamian in business, if you're thinking scale up, if you're thinking opportunity, you should be out there going to international players in the similar sphere and saying, listen, what can we do together? I'm thinking that way.
No, I think, like I say, we enjoy the franchise because it's a good franchise, and not all franchises are good. We were part of one that wasn't as good as Dairy Queen, but Dairy Queen because Warren Buffett is the
You all heard that, right?
original. He's the owner now, and really took it to
Not all
another-
franchises are the same.
Right, not all franchises are the same, so it's a good franchise and we get good support. But yes, it brings a certain level of discipline to your operations, and so even as owners, and when you're insisting that they operate in this manner, it's because, and they have surprise visits, they check on you, that sort of thing. So I think it is something good, but again, I go back to capital, because owning these franchises require cash, up front, and you have to be in a position to jump on it.
Any other questions up there? Any other questions?
I think a comment.
Comment? Yes,
Just
sir.
talking about opportunities that are out there. Previously, before Jamaica lowered its costs, substantially lowered its cost of energy, they had over 500 product categories that they manufacture and export to the United States, Canada, and Europe. Now, we are next door to the largest economy on the earth. Yes, we have high energy costs. Yes, we do have high labor costs. But those are only challenges for us to go forward and do the research and find out what are the products or additions to value chains that we can add on.
Where that cost is not as big a deal.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So we just need to do some research in those areas and identify those products and categories and jump in there, because the market is right there. Now, you know, and our shipping cost should be far less than Jamaica's to the United States and Canada, and we have Arawak port and we have the Freeport container port, so the shipping processes and avenues are there.
When you're making a Rolls Royce, people don't really ask you how much cost going into it. That kind of like the point, right?
Yeah.
So there's some cost that's not as discriminating. So yes, sir.
I just wanted to touch back on. I just wanted to
I
touch.
wanted you to speak into it so we could get that captured in the.
I just wanted to touch back on something that was.
Yeah, that's your laptop. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch back on something that was said earlier. That was in regards to encouraging employees. I think it was Mr. Juan
Bacardi, yes.
Bacardi who suggested toward incentivizing employees toward improving themselves. Currently in the education system, many private schools have this thing where they're given subventions from the government, but that's based on information that's provided. I think that should be driven a different sort of way, in the sense of, someone talked about how we should be educating our youth. For example, a country like Finland, students in Finland and children in Finland actually choose what they learn. Whereas in this Western system that we currently find ourselves in, we are kind of forced to learn things that we are not necessarily excited about. I think if persons are introduced in an environment where they can actually navigate what their profession becomes, I think then you would have a better pool of employees to select from.
As we begin to wrap up our discussions, I'm just going to ask you to kind of give your closing comments to the experience of business in the country, the forward-looking the business in the country, whatever you'd like to say to these listeners on radio and in our audience. We're gonna start with you, but we can start with Mrs. Osbourne.
I would just like to say, for those who are not yet in business but would like to get in business in some form, prepare yourself. What that means, we know that the Bahamas is not a country of savers, but in order to be able to invest, you have to save. So you need to start by preparing your savings, so that sometimes when opportunities come up, you have a small window in which you have to jump on it, and sometimes you lose out on that opportunity simply because you don't have the savings or you don't have the access to capital. So prepare yourselves, educate yourselves, read up, research different types of businesses that would interest you, and read. We're not reading enough, I think, as a nation. I guess now the younger generation has so many distractions, but we need to read and do more research in terms of businesses that may be able to operate here. Start thinking about a business that you've experienced, but will it work in this small environment? And start preparing yourselves for entrepreneurship.
Mr. Bacardi?
Well, I think if I put things in perspective, we're sitting around this table and we're in these classrooms because of the leaderships of consecutive governments over the last 60 years, certainly. And I think we're very fortunate to be able to be placed in this type of position. If you look in our region, things are very different. That being said, there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think we can build off of the foundations that have been built through tourism, mainly through the financial sector. And in that, it'd be helpful to understand what the youth and the students of the nation do want. What is their, what are their needs? And I think we can propel forward. From a government perspective, I think it's important for us to also learn what their vision is as well. What are we going after? What sales teams are they starting to prepare for in order to go after that? Is OBAN coming to us, or are we going to OBAN? Are we going to Disney, or is Disney coming to us? What is the visions of these governments going forward, so that also the students are prepared to know what they're going to study for? If we're going to go after wellness centers and medical tourism, then they say, well, you know what, then I'm going to study nursing. I think it's something that I'm really intrigued by. So I think, what is the plan for the next 20, 30, 40 years, so that private individuals, private entrepreneurs or students or people that want to go into these specialized fields can at least plan to know that we're going in that direction, and we can prepare ourselves to do so.
Okay, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to your audience out there and to those would-be entrepreneurs, I would tell them to dream. And don't let anybody step on their dreams. Because only in the Bahamas, you know, two local young guys, you know, one from Palm Beach Street, the other from Forbes Hill and Zuma, you know, can purchase and own one of the largest financial institutions in this country.
Okay. Well, you know, one of the things that's going to happen as a result of this discussion is we are going to have this information transcribed. We will edit it in a way in which it can be published in a journal, and so we're going to extract whatever good advice, guidance we can get, and we're going to make it available to those who need to have it made available, because we're going to do a series of these roundtable discussions to try to tease out those elements of business success that we think so many Bahamians want to have. So I want to thank you all today. Please give it up for my panelists. Coming students and our special guests. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Z Live. I'm Zhivargo, Laing, your host. We've been airing live today from the Franklin Wilson RBC Graduation Center with our first in a series of business roundtable discussions here at the Government and Public Policy Institute. God bless you. Have a good evening, and guess what? Empress is up next with Free Your Mind. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.